Hi, my name is Merlin, and today I'm gonna talk about what I learned today. Um, so actually, I really, I wasn't able to learn something today, and maybe I admit maybe I was lazy, and sometimes it is really hard to keep like it is really hard to study every day. Uh, so and I really rest today, so I'm just gonna recap what I learned till now. And so yeah, so I'm just gonna recap the important thing. So um I'm just gonna try to explain how to make the operating system using Rust, but the beginning part. Actually, when you're trying to using so, no, so actually, I will while I trying to make operating system using Rust, and I already realized that operating system is just a software. It's like when I first encountered this kind of concept, I thought it was like fancy and huge, huge system that I could I could I could not even couldn't make. And I just realized it's just kind of software, just a software. And I already, the thing is that I really was hard to I really have no concept of how the computer boots or run the operating system. I thought because when we power on and when you just wait it, there's a window or Linux or Mac OS gonna be around, right? So we can just log into our computer. Now I realize that there's such thing BIOS or UEFI, and then bootloader and your OS kernel. But why? But why we need such a BIOS, and why we need bootloader, and why we need such as kernel? And the BIOS is basic input output system that really checks up your hardware or your CPU, CPU is called the post. The post means that I think it was power on off, power off. I forgot it. Oh, what was it? I was like power off start test. Yeah, I thought it was like power on off start test. I was like, I think it's like that, but not sure. But basically, it's just like checking the test for your computer, because if there's something wrong with the hardware, because you will have some kind of difficulties to interact with your computer. And after that, it starts booting. So booting. So why you need such a booting? Because let's just know, operating system is just software. You need to boot it. You need to run the software, but there should be the one who finds the software, and that is bootloader. Bootloader is the one who boots it, and boots it. But to describe more about bootloader, it locates on the hard disk or floppy disk. And how does it look? It just looks like this. So hard disk is really if you search for Zencaster, what is hard disk? You can like this is ARM, like this part, and so this is just the hard disk look like. I really simplified it, and hard disk it just looks like CD, but there's like round thing sector. Example, like this. Yes, these are sectors. These like lines here. You can see the lines this part, right? These are the sectors. And it's just the type of the hardware that we can store in the memory. And the hard disk is I don't know how to pronounce this. Bitol, whatever. Just like you cannot erase it. But how will we just gonna store this bootloader code in here? So actually, you can store in bootloader in this part, in this sector here. This part. Yes, this is called this is the size is 154 byte, and 64 byte is for, I think it was validation, right? Yeah, validation. And other 446 byte is for the MBR, master boot record. Yeah, master boot record is the one who does the core thing in the bootloader. 64 byte is validation. And yeah, and it's kind of simple. It don't make it like trying to hard, or there's a 512 bytes. A bootloader when I'm trying to store a bootloader, I store the maximum size of 512 bytes. Why? Because we store this in the hard disk, and the maximize the hard disk size is 512 bytes. And that is why we have to limit our size into 512 bytes, because of hardware limitation. And for 400, but basically 446 bytes is the MBR, so we need to like the exact limitation is 446 bytes. So, but how will we find this sector? Because you have to understand that this is not magic. This is science. You have to understand how does it work. How does computer finds this sector? Well, if you look at how hard this works, this is the ARM. This is the ARM. So ARM is the one who moves the like the part of a head and moves the head and finds the sector that we want. But how? We locate this. I forgot the word of it. I thought it. Yeah, cylinder. It was cylinder, right? I forgot the book. I think it was cylinder. But whatever. We just look. So example, this is the arm. Let's say this is the arm. We rotate it, and when we encounter this part, and it finds that it lost the entry point. And but the interesting, after bootloader, we're just gonna link into OS column, and we start put our column image into RAM and make it work. And yeah, that should be, we're just gonna start our code from the entry point. So what I was really surprised was while reading this kind of operating system concept and like low level programming. In our front end development, there's a such a thing entry point, index.ts, main.ts, and there's something like that. But I thought it was kind of like protocol or some kind of promise in front end development world. But I realized that that is not kind of characteristics on front end development. It is kind of whole thing of the like programming thing, our software. Even the operating system, when trying to current image has the entry point, bootloader has an entry point, everything has an entry point, and that was really interesting. And moreover, when trying to write bootloader, you have to understand the key. It was like register. Yeah, it was like memory address, and the reason why you have to understand memory address is because the writing bootloader requires using assembly. Yes, you can write into C into Rust, but you have to put some kind of like disabling some kind of code that relies on the operating system. And yes, but if you look at the assembly, you have to understand some kind of memory address. Like core memory address is, I think it was JRXB8000. It was right. I think I think it was like JRXB1000. I'm just gonna search. Yeah, print it to screen. So the reason why this is important, because when we first trying to write bootloader, we have to test it, right? We have to write just simple code like hello world, right? But even writing a hello world requires understanding of some kind of memory address. Why? Because we are directly put our text into buffer, and there is some specific address let you write this text on to show the screen, and that is the JRXB1000. I think that is the starting point of the address, and after that you can write after that. So that is the starting point, and that is really important. Yeah, and also you can write the JRXB1000 like put and like care about some kind of like memory address and like putting like pointer thing, but most practical way is just write BGA, just use BGA buffer. So BGA buffer, what I know as BGA buffer, is just like so basically JRXB1000 means if you try to sample them, the JRXB1000 means that means you're just gonna put your text onto video on your screen, but like caring about some kind of this memory address could be really generating some kind of error. So BGA buffer is the one who makes you easy to handle this stuff. And yeah, what I think of this, what I understand of this is some kind of library. Yes, and the other thing I was wondering why I'm reading about bootloader concept was, it's saying that I have to use one sector here. The reason why bootloader the code is limited into 500 bytes is because we are relying on the first sector of the hard disk. But my question is, why don't we use 3 sector or 4 sector or 5 sector, 6 sector? My question was this, and the conclusion is, the reason why we cannot write into 2, 3 sector, 5 sector, use 3, 7 sector for the bootloader is because that means if we have to configure BIOS code also. You have to understand that this is just a software. If you're the programmer, you have to care about maintainability or something like that. If you write code and you made a service, example, made a service, and you think this is the Uber, no, it's not. You have to keep running the service and make the software stable. If there's like 1,000 of users and 10,000 of users and 100,000 of users, the software is gonna kind of crash, and there should be more implement feature. And also, BIOS is not like that. BIOS is also software. Is and BIOS input output system, and they basically the human write code to make BIOS system. And BIOS is related to hardware concept. And if you're trying to write, if we able to write some bootloader code into like using 6 sector, 7 sector, depends on like that has to link into BIOS code, and yes, of course, that is hard to be maintained, and I think that is why it's kind of assumption. It's kind of not assumption. It's just like it's just my hypothesis, and that is why I think we choose like first sector. I think there is a promise, like protocol. Yeah, I think this is it. I think there's more. And UEFI is the modern concept of the first data point software. Yeah. Last thing I want to cover. So hard disk sounds like really hard. Really like when I first encountered like hard disk concept. I don't want to say bad word, but if I try to say it, I thought my first impression was, what the fuck is this? Yeah, this hard disk sounds like it's so abstract for me, and I really don't know how it works. It's like I forgot the word of what the book have. It's just a record pen. So really like 1980s, 70s. We don't have like 70s, 60s. We don't have the music player, right? Now we are turning on the music on the phone, but that time they are using a record pen, and there's like neither of it. And when you encounter this like pen, is you gonna move it or rotate it, and there's like music playing, and this is kind of similar to that. But there's no music, it's just a finding like key, like sector that your software use, and when you encounter it stops. Yes, it is very cool. I know there's a lot of concepts like RPM, those kind of thing, and just skip about that because we're not going deeply about it, because we're not just some kind of like kernel development. We're not into kernel development. We just want to learn operating system. And also, most last thing, bootloader is first software. Yeah, first software. But what about BIOS? I think BIOS is software, but I think it's kind of rely on the hardware system. Yeah. So this is it. It's kind of recap till now, like how I understand operating system. I think tomorrow will be like learning about this. But actually, I was kind of hard. I was kind of difficulties of handling my time, because I'm by the way, I'm a student in my university. I'm third grade. Yes, I'm 22 in international age and 24 in Korean age. And I think I'm just gonna start a business when I go back to university 2 months after. But like engineering is, I think, most key part. But also the business, learning how to do the business kind of concept is really essential, I think. So I bought like a bunch of book, but the thing is that which means that it is kind of, that means I have less time of studying of a computer science thing. So I think I have to like handle my time wisely. So this is it. Bye bye.